phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
As I progress through the college football offseason, I think about a lot of things going on. I feel like there's a lot of things you can talk about with storylines, recruiting, the transfer portal. There's a lot to talk about. But in today's video, I want to talk about 5 college football players that I believe could be due for a breakout season in 2023. Now, of course, I'm only going to be talking about 5 players, and there's going to be more than 5 players that break out in 2023. But these are 5 guys that I'm pretty confident in having a big season as long as they stay healthy. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. The first player that I'm going to be talking about as a potential breakout player is wide receiver from Mizzou, Luther Burden. Luther Burden was just a true freshman in 2022, but he had a pretty good season, recording 45 receptions, which was second on the team, 375 receiving yards, which was third on the team, and 6 total touchdowns through the air, which led the team in total. He also accounted for 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 punt return touchdown. Something that's worth noting about Mizzou football in 2023 is that their lead receiver in receiving yards and receptions from 2022 in Dominic Lovett has transferred to Georgia. So that leaves up a big gap for someone to take up a lot of receptions, and I feel like there's a good potential for it to be Luther Burden to be a lead guy in 2023. Of course, he's going to have some competition with the current room, and of course, transfer from Oklahoma Theo Weiss, but I am pretty certain that we're going to see a big season from Luther Burden as long as he stays healthy. I know that Mizzou hasn't necessarily been the best at the quarterback position, but Luther Burden is someone that has a very high upside. We saw him in high school. We saw him show flashes as a true freshman in 2022. Everyone knows he has potential and big playability, and I'm expecting some big things from Luther Burden in 2023. Transitioning into the next player I'm going to be talking about, it is TCU quarterback Chandler Morris. Now, Chandler Morris was originally supposed to be the starting quarterback for TCU in 2022, and in fact, he was. He started their first game of the year versus Colorado, but when he went down with injury, the then backup quarterback Max Duggan came in, and if you know the story, Max Duggan never lost a job. He was a Heisman finalist, and TCU even made it to the national championship game, and Chandler Morris effectively was back as a backup quarterback to Max Duggan, similar to what he was in 2021. Now, in his college football career up to this point, we've seen Chandler Morris in some action where he's shown some flashes. He has 4 touchdown passes over the 3-year span of his career compared to 0 interceptions, as well as a total of 3 rushing touchdowns. He's someone that has very good dual threat abilities, can extend plays, and seems to have a pretty good arm. And something that I really see him breaking out with is that, of course, he was supposed to be the starter in 2022. So that means the coaches saw something in him that they didn't potentially see in Max Duggan at the time. And when I've seen Chandler Morris play in the past, I've been impressed for the most part. And I think he is a quarterback that does have some good potential. And if you know something about Sonny Dykes, he tends to have some pretty high-scoring and efficient offenses. And I think we're going to be seeing that again in 2023 for TCU with Chandler Morris as QB1. Taking a look at the defensive side of the ball with this next player, it is Oklahoma linebacker Deson Molina. Deson Molina is an Indiana transfer, whereas a true freshman in 2022, he was one of the best true freshmen in the nation, being a freshman All-American, where he racked up 49 total tackles, 32 of which being solo, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. He was a highly regarded recruit in the 2022 class, and he was a highly regarded transfer portal player according to the 24/7 Sports Transfer Portal rankings for the 2023 transfer portal cycle. Molina is someone who has a very high upside. He has some pretty good size on him. He has great speed, and is someone who's overall just very athletic, as he's played everywhere on the defense over the span of his football career. And of course, being an edge guy at Indiana in 2022 and showing some productivity as a true freshman, being a freshman All-American, you have to think if he stays healthy and stays stays the path of what he needs to do at Oklahoma, he's bound for a big season under a Brent Venables defense, a guy who's had a lot of success with linebackers. And if you look at Deson Molina, he does have some similarities to someone else that had a lot of success under Brent Venables at Clemson in Isaiah Simmons. Sticking with the defensive side of the ball for this next player, it is Memphis defensive lineman Josh Ellison. Ellison is a transfer from Oklahoma, and in my opinion is one of the more underrated transfer portal players for this class. Ellison was more of a rotational defensive lineman at Oklahoma for the 3 seasons he was there, from 2020 to 2022, but I believed he showed some productivity while he was there and some potential, especially with his size, standing at 6'2", 300 pounds. He racked up 44 career tackles, 16 of them being solo, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery. He is an interior defensive lineman, and I feel like Memphis could use him in many ways. Every year when I watch Memphis football or think of Memphis football, they seem to have some pretty good interior defensive linemen, and it always seems like someone is breaking out on the scene there as a Memphis Tiger on the defensive side of the ball. And I feel like with a bigger role, a much expanded role, and just a change of scenery, Josh Ellison is going to have the best year of his career that he's had yet. Of course, as long as he stays healthy, and of course that goes for anyone you can talk about in college football. The final player that I'm going to be talking about in today's video may be considered a little bit of a layup in terms of predicting players that have a breakout season, and it is quarterback from Clemson, Cade Klubnik. Klubnik, as a true freshman in 2022, appeared in 10 games for the Tigers, where he was primarily the backup quarterback to DJ Uiagalelei. And when he was playing, Cade showed a lot of flashes, a lot of potential, and primarily had a pretty good season when he was playing. Of course, versus Tennessee, he did have a little bit of a shaky game, but let's talk about the numbers he boasted. He completed 61% of his passes, while throwing for 697 yards, 2 touchdowns compared to 3 interceptions, 139 total rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Klubnik seems to be a for sure lock to be the starting quarterback for Clemson in 2023. Everyone's expecting him to break out, potentially be one of the better quarterbacks in college football. And in my opinion, I feel like he has a chance to be one of the better quarterbacks in college football. I'm not going to say he's going to be the best. I'm not going to say he's going to be perfect. I'm expecting Cade Klubnik to have a couple games, or maybe just a game, where he seems pedestrian and may struggle, because it will be his first season as a full-time starting quarterback. And of course, he's going to be a sophomore at this point. And he's only really started in 1 game in his career, besides coming in during the ACC Championship game versus North Carolina, where he played very well in. There is some uncertainty to some people who look at Cade Klubnik for 2023, because simply we have not seen him play enough college football, and he will be a first-year starter. But I'm pretty certain that Cade Klubnik's going to have a good 23 campaign, and is going to show people that he's a good quarterback. Well guys, if you made it this far in today's video, drop something down in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to have a breakout season for the 2023 college football campaign? And before you head out, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Be Kelly out.